English Regency Court gowns are some of the weirdest fashions to ever cross the annals of history. And given that here at Fantastical Follies, we love the weird, the wacky, the underappreciated, we are long overdue to make one of these spectacularly ridiculous outfits. It's unfortunate then that before we can start going crazy with flowers and garlands and puffballs, we have to build the understructure first so that we can actually have this thing fit right. Such is the life of a historical costumer. We'll go into the history more when we make the final gown, but the one important thing I have to mention for this video is that ERCGs exist because, though they've been out of style for almost 30 years at this point, Queen Charlotte insisted that feminine presenting people wear hoops at the English court. Yes, that Queen Charlotte. Did you ever wonder why the Bridgerton costume designers put her in 18th century stuff? That's why. But the real question is here, what kind of hoops were they wearing under the ERCGs? And how the heck did they stay all the way up here instead of down at the waist? Let's find out. Good afternoon. While I finish my coffee in my left-handed mug, let's talk about our plan here. So this should be a fairly straightforward project. At least I hope it will be straightforward, because the more time I spend on this, the less time I have to spend on the actual gown. It's no mystery that they would have been wearing some kind of pannier under their dress. Now, what kind of pannier, that's a different question, especially this late into the pannier sphere. Pannier sphere? Pannier dome? Pannier era? There were a lot of different kinds, and why I think it might be a little less straightforward than I would really like it to be is a very important question that could be best answered in our next section, which I call, "Here are the panniers I have, and this is why they suck." Pannier number 1 is a plain Jane utility hoop from more than a decade ago. Its problems include being laughably too small and collapsing under the weight of a single feather. Please welcome pocket hoops. Pannier number 2 is a rainbow-colored nightmare made of spit and gumption. Problems include being literally falling to pieces and being excessively dusty. It's hard to put on, only has a little bit more strength than the other one, and is 100% too big to fit into any standard-sized suitcase. Please welcome the prettiest star pannier. So because this is going to be an English Regency court gown, we are really looking at something that is going to be a court pannier. They are basically full petticoats. However, making a court pannier has two very distinct downsides that I think are going to make my decision for me. The first being, like the other pannier I already have, I cannot think of a way that that is going to be packable. Unless there's some magical way to twist it up like you do with those store-bought crinolines that you buy like on Amazon. I can't see how I'm ever going to get this into a suitcase, which is obviously one of my major issues. The other issue is, of course, the climate. I live in Central Texas. It's freaking hot here. It's the very end of March and we're already pushing 90 degrees most days. Even if I'm making this for a specific event that's going to be inside, there's no guarantee that I'm going to be inside every time I wear this pannier. So if it is a full ass petticoat, it's going to be a lot hotter. So I think the plan is going to be to try and make some very large pocket hoops, which will be more breathable because they're only on the side and very much packable. Hopefully it works. I spent a good 2.5 hours dithering over this stupid project, trying to figure out what size I wanted and what shape I wanted and how the heck I was going to do it. And then I was hit on the head by the Kiss Demon and decided I have a whole book full of pannier patterns. Why not just grid up, print it out, and use something that already exists? Duh. Ow. The pannier I've picked is this one from Patterns of Fashion 5. Now this one is like the biggest pannier in the entire book. Of course, that's the one I would pick. And I think it's actually going to be a little big. I don't necessarily hate that it's large, but from a budget standpoint moving forward, since this will be my pannier period, I don't want it to be too big or my skirts are going to be exorbitantly expensive. I think what we'll do is we'll put this together with muslin and scrap fabric, slap it on, see what the size is, and maybe do a little bit of adjustments. There's just one small problem. Nerp, nerp. Only me. Remember, add seam allowances since this pattern doesn't have any. I did have a very long debate with myself whether you cut 2 of these or just 1 of these. The pattern is not very clear, but I think after noodling over it for a while that it is only 1 piece. So we're gonna try it with 1 piece first, and if it is very clearly needs to have 2 pieces, then we can cut another piece and try it out. Also, I should have mentioned this before, but I do have a full video on how you can take a gridded pattern like Patterns of Fashion or Nora Wah's books and easily grid them up to not only full size, but your size. So if you haven't watched that video, I will link to it in the description for you to check out after this one. As I anticipated, we've run into a couple of small issues. This was built to be a full hoop all the way around. So we have this little slanty bit in the center front, and that is kind of, you know, that slants so that it's comfortable while you wear it. If we were to just draw the line up straight and make this a full rectangle with the sides tied, this is a little bit wider than I want. Like I said before, this would cost me so much money, but if we, you know, take away that extra slanty bit, I kind of like that width. So I think what I'm gonna do is sort of take it in this much. I want to marinate it on it just a little bit, so I'm gonna set it aside for today, sleep on it, make some decisions, and we'll come back bright and early tomorrow and figure out what we want to do. So I tried that and removed all of the slanty bit, which was about 6 inches. Not sure here. After looking back at the fashion plates, I realized there was no getting around making these giant honking hoops. They are all huge. So I decided to sort of split the difference and remove 2 inches of space from the hoops instead of 6. Doing the math, with my height, I should be able to still get my skirts out of 60-inch fabric with them this wide, making it still fairly cost-effective. With that adjusted, all we then had to do was move up that slanty bit and add seam allowances to all sides. We're having a very rainy Saturday over here in Texas, and I'm overcompensating! Now, the overcast skies don't make for the best lighting when you're filming a YouTube video, but my friends, we have to get this entire pannier almost completely done today, or I'm not gonna get this video out to you in time. So, utilitarian is the name of the game today. I know that's not very on brand for me. Usually we like to make everything extra, but I would rather spend less energy on the pannier and more energy on the dress. I'm sure you agree. So let's get started. You really want to use a tightly woven mid-weight for this, but I don't have that handy, so we'll be flatlining some cotton sateen sheets with muslin. I do want to confirm that you only need 1 side piece for this pannier and 2 center pieces for each separate hoop. If you're not flatlining, you'll end up with 6 pieces of fabric. I have 12. First, you want to sew the 3 pieces of each hoop together. Preferably without, you know, running out of bobbin thread halfway through. Rage! Next, we need to finish all the raw edges, starting with the hem. And now it's time for Excessive taping! We're going to use both heavyweight and midweight half-inch tape for this. Since I've changed the design of this from a full one-piece pannier into 2 side hoops, the top of this is going to be the most difficult, so let's try and knock that out first. The original pocket opening is 26.5 on one side and 27 on the other. Since I removed, I think, a total of 2 inches from each center panel, that's 4 inches. So we're gonna make the pocket hoop area 22 inches. No, 22.5 inches. I could do math. You'll want to do 2 sets of running stitches in the side panel. The book says these get gathered down to 7.5 or 8 inches depending on the side, because the original hoop is not even. I'm opting for 7.5. Nope, wrong. If you gather this now, how will you sew on the boning channels? Reverse! Reverse! Okay, y'all, it's that time in the video. If you're enjoying this nonsense, please do me a huge favor and like the video and say hi in the comments. These tiny little things go a long way into supporting this channel, and honestly, it really makes my day. Also want to give a huge shout out to my Ko-fi supporters, particularly my reoccurring contributors and my monthly subscribers. Without you, this channel would be caca, and these hoops would be tiny. Thank you so much, and I have linked below if you'd like to help contribute towards making the wackiest, most outrageous ERCG ever known to humankind. The bottom hoop channel gets placed directly above the hem. Note that we're using the heavier weight tape for the boning channels and the lighter weight for all of the rest of the tape applications. Okay, so I want to show you something really quick. You notice here, this boning, this, what they're calling the elbow, goes down into the middle boning channel. That, I think, is intentional, and I think it is also essential to maintaining the tension of that elbow and keeping everything up. However, since I'm machine sewing this and using steel boning instead of cane, we're running into a little bit of an issue because if I try and put it together the way that they put it together, I'm gonna break some needles, and we don't like doing that here at Fantastical Follies. So I've made a couple of slight adjustments. I've sealed both ends of these, and then I've left an opening on one side that I can go ahead and stick the boning in that way, and then just zip this little bit up by hand. And then on this middle one, I'm gonna leave from here open so that I can put everything in without breaking any needles. Wardrobe change. This full of tapes is going to be what keeps our pannier in shape. The original had 2 tapes on the elbow, this little guy, to hold it in place just about in the middle of the side piece here. But then the bottom 2 hoops only had 1 single tie on each side, which they then just poked a hole between the canes and knotted it off. I think somebody was in a hurry. Now we're gonna use more tapes than they did. We're gonna do the original tapes, and then because I've made this into 2 separate side hoops instead of 1 full hoop, we're gonna do another right on the edge to keep everything nice and neat and in place. Easy, easy, and also here. The sewing on method is going to be a box of stitching with a diagonal X in between for stability. BRB. Whew, that was tedious and time consuming. Not fun at all, which is probably why every single hoop in this book is described as being very hastily done, because it was never fun for anyone. It was always tedious. We were always too busy to handle this. And it very much is, you gotta gird your loins and get the unfun thing done so you can get to the fun part, which is exactly what we're doing today in this video. So I got all of the tapes on that I said I was gonna get on. Also went ahead and put on the pocket hoop tape. That was really not fun. I would have much preferred to do that by hand, but I just do not have the time to do it today. So it's ugly, but that's okay. It serves its purpose. I did end up putting 2 1/8" tapes on the edges of the pocket hoops to tie them together. I could not figure out how they had done it on the original, but we're not done with the tapes. We have several more tapes to put on, and then we can finally add the boning. And that is, of course, at the waist. And then we got to figure out how it's going over the shoulders. I was mulling this over as I did it, and I think the best way to go about putting the waistband on is to add a drawstring channel. Let's knock that out, and then maybe, just maybe, we can bone. 1" waist tapes plus 2 more halfies. Nothing like losing thread chicken on your very last tape. This is serious, y'all. If you could actually read it. There, that's better. Safety, important. This stuff flies all over the place. It's metal and sharp. You can buy metal boning tips, and I use a little hot glue to keep them in place. Time to slip it in. You want the elbow to be very tight within its casing, so cut it just a little too long and then shove it in best you can. I use bolt cutters to cut my steel boning. These cost about $8 at Harbor Freight Tools. Do not, I repeat, do not spend $60 or more on specialized boning cutters. Expensive unitaskers are bad. I did not mean to sound like a sheep. The middle and bottom boning is a little more straightforward and much easier to get into the hole. Can you believe it? It worked. First try, no notes. Who'da thunk it? And not only does it work, but I don't have to do anything extra to get this to hang over my shoulders to get the higher waist instead of sitting around my actual waist. Because of the way that I did the waist tapes, all I have to do is tie it over my shoulder. I mean, I'll have to adjust it with a mirror, you know, but look, oh my gosh, I'm a Forgan genius. And that's where we're gonna stop for today. Congrats for making it to the end of the video. You win at life. I'm gonna let you into a little secret. If you've enjoyed this video, the hands down best thing you could do is watch another video. How about learning to grit up those patterns from a book? Or if you're watching this after the final gown goes live, you can watch that one here. That's it for me. Thanks for watching. I love y'all, and I'll catch you in my next video.